Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Hello, respected viewers. Welcome to another episode of our friendly conversation with Brother Ali about the quotes of Commander of Faithful, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, his book. And I hope the previous episodes were satisfying, as we just try to do as best as possible talking and discussing the quotes of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam in the short time that we have. Also, although the time that we have is not enough, to be honest, it's not by the point of view that I am a Shia and I want to exaggerate it. No, totally. And honestly speaking, half an hour is not enough. Half an hour is not enough to talk about an issue or any topic. So we just try to make it so short, and inshallah I hope that all these talkings are and this conversation inshallah is accepted by Almighty God, and inshallah it is satisfying. So for tonight we are going to have another topic after I say salam to Brother Ali, who is here in this studio, and welcome him. Hello Brother Ali, and welcome once again to this show.
Alaikum assalam. Thank you for having me, and in the name of God we can start with today's discussion.
Yeah, inshallah. Actually, going through your book, I found lots of amazing and beautiful things, not only because you have brought the quotes of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam in it, but because of your special point of view, looking and discussing the quotes. And, one of them that I just came across was about the human equality, which is a very, very important issue right now in all the societies. Equality, justice, and something like this. And the quote that you just brought in it says, "What you send out returns back to you," from Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. I think that you've got a lot to tell us about this chapter.
As you said, yes, there's a lot of ways to dissect this quote, explain the quote. However, the reason I brought it in here was basically for us to take a step back and look at what angle and what perspective we use to act. Mm-hmm. So in this quote, Imam Ali says, what you send out. So basically, speaking in today's language of a lot of philosophers and psychologists, the energy that we give out is the energy or the karma that we shall receive. Many people are using this language today.
Yeah.
Many people are selling books and classes,
making money,
teaching. Universities are doing programs. Labs are doing researches on energy. There's so much going on around this energy field today, meditations and all those things. I think the basic thing that we need to take from this quote is when the Imam says, whatever you send out will come back to you.
Yeah.
You can plug whatever in that equation, because he says what you send out. He doesn't specify. He doesn't say, if you send out money,
then you will receive
money, because that's some cosmic way somehow this works. We don't understand it, but somehow God has designed the world this way. So just do it. No. He doesn't say give out care and you shall one day receive care as well. He says what you send out, whatever it may be that you send out, you will receive. So I'm going to explain, first of all, what I think is important for us to know from here, understanding what it is that we give out. And what it is that we give out is a piece of ourselves always. Mm-hmm. Because when you commit to an act, you are first making this decision to act.
Yeah.
To make that decision to act and to commit to it, you have to have the intent to make that decision. Correct?
Yeah.
So intention, as you know in Islam, is a very big part of Islam.
It is niyyah, called niyyah.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Any act in Islam without niyyah is not going to be accepted, in the Islamic.
Right. And the thing about what you just said is any act without niyyah, it means any act without intent. There cannot be an act without intent, but there can be an act without the intent for God.
Yeah.
What you act without the intent for God is not accepted.
There can be intent without act. Of course, you mentioned it or not.
Yeah, I may intend to go and pray,
but
something happens and I don't reach it. But really, truly, I intended to, and it was beyond my control that I couldn't.
And it will have its own fact.
Yes, it will have its own effect in your life as well. Yeah, but the thing is this: what is important is our intent should always be originally whatever allows us, as we spoke previous occasions, whatever allows us to reach closer to God.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to get to a judgment day or to an end of time or however you want to call it in any religion. At the end of when everything finishes, you're reaching this God. Whether you believe in it in whatever way you want to believe in it, you're reaching God. You want to reach that entity of God in a favorable way. Correct? Everybody wants to be in God's favor. Nobody wants to be against God when they reach God.
Sure.
Okay. So our intents must always be reaching God in that favorable manner. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I come and I tell you that whatever you send out will come back to you. Which means whatever intent you have in creating actions and committing and performing them will be the way that you are spreading your energy and your authority and your power and your wealth, remember those terms?
Yeah.
Into the world.
The world, yeah.
Right? So now, if I'm giving to charity, it doesn't mean that the world is going to be charitable towards me and people are going to come and give me money. But look at the beauty of this concept. I give in charity. These children and the orphanage that I helped, or the poor people that I helped who were able to sustain with the money that I had given to the charity in my community, are going to allow people to develop a little better. This development of people, what is it going to do in my community? It's going to raise my community spiritually,
upgrade the community.
Exactly. It's going to, so as you using your terminology, upgrade my community. What does the upgrade do to me? It upgrades my life too.
Yeah.
So what
I'm living in the same society.
So basically what I'm giving out, the money I'm giving out, I'm paying for the upgrade. Correct? I just paid for the upgrade of my own life. So this is one way to look at it, right? You are continuously using your intent. If your intent is pure and on that path to God, it has to be pure so that the actions that you commit to, what you give out, comes back to you favorably.
But there is a question, Professor.
Sure.
Brother. The question is that, what if the charity, for example, in this case, in this example, the charity that I gave to a poor person, it didn't end to an upgrade into the society. So is that gone then at that time?
Let us come back to this question after we explain the way that we can create an intention to action motion that makes sure that we don't fall into that.
We need some thought.
Your question, basically, I'll give you a little intro to it. A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to give to this charity, but I don't want to anymore. And I say, why? And they say, you know, I've read their financial statements, I've looked at the reports, and only 20% of the money that I give actually reaches the cause. The other 80% gets filtered in so many different, expenses and whatnot. And so if I'm giving, 100 whatever currency, I'm giving to the cause 20 of that currency, not 100 anymore. And I don't feel right. And I think this other charity is stealing, and I think this third charity was in the news, you heard about it, there was some corruption involved. So I don't feel comfortable anymore giving. And I say to myself, wait, just because somebody is intending the wrong way, you are going to cancel your intentions with God altogether? I have an intention to help society for developing myself and society to reach God favorably. One person in that society, or two, or all of that society, are working against this path. They are robbing the charities. So should I stop helping somebody who needs help financially because another person is stealing? No. I should just put more effort into finding a way that I could reach that person or reach that community or reach to help in a way that would give. And the better of the two evils is if the person in charge of the charity is corrupt and every million that the charity receives, they are skimming off the top. The more the charity receives and they skim, the more you can still help people. So even in the wrong, you can do good. So don't let the ego play with your mind to tell you if Bob or John did something wrong, that I should now take these wrongs and use it as an excuse for me to keep my money in my pocket. And if God asks me, why weren't you charitable? I'll say, well, you know, Bob was the director of the charity and he just got convicted for robbing, so I have a good excuse.
Yeah.
I used the money to buy a new car for myself. That's not an excuse. That's you allowing your ego to overtake and control you, to use Bob as an excuse. You have nothing to do with God.
Yeah.
If you read the Holy Quran, there are parts in it that say, when the day of judgment comes, each person is going to be accounted for by themselves and their own actions. You are never going to be judged on my actions. God will never say, sir, your friend committed this sin, so we're going to put some of his sins onto your portfolio. That will never happen. So why are you forcing your lack of intent and direction onto another person's actions, negative actions? Why don't, if that's the case you want to go, I can show you a lot of people who are doing a lot of good. Why don't you tell me he's doing so much better, she is doing so much more, I am doing less, so I'm going to connect with those people and go higher? The reason is you're allowing your ego to look at the negative and decrease yourself.
To just make it
it's an excuse. Yes, it's an excuse.
To make yourself happy that, okay, I wanted to do something good, but because of that person, I didn't.
Right.
So I will feel.
Yeah, I feel okay now to say no. I'm not going to do anything. But instead of looking either at the better people and connecting with them, or even yourself carving a better role, which you're not doing.
Great. Okay, so back to the conversation.
So back to the conversation, the essentials that we need to know here is we take what we give, right?
Yeah.
Why are we giving in the first place? I mean, what are the concepts that make us feel that we should give? First of all, we're all life. The other animals, we are animals. You know, sometimes people forget that. Sometimes people say humans, animals, plants. I say no.
They are
this
all
is
animals.
the same.
Yeah.
This is the same. You are not human animals. You are animals. You're all in one place. So all of life is in one place. So when we give out, do we again let the ego take over and say we are humans? Then there is animals. Why? Why do we feel that the life of an animal is less important or less viable or less in any way, that we should not give out evenly to all life? So first of all, we must always remember that we are all equal and we are all within a family structure on the planet, because we don't have anywhere else to go. You know, we think to ourselves, unfortunately we're very small-minded creatures. You know, when we sit here, we think of this environment. You know, sitting here, Germany is a distant place for me right now. I'm not thinking of Germany right now, you know, like it's so far away. But in fact, this planet Earth is all we have. There's nothing else. I mean, you know, if you go in, all over YouTube, you see the pale blue dot from Carl Sagan, and it's just a beautiful description of this tiny little blue dot planet that is Earth in the huge atmosphere of the universe. So we separate ourselves so much within this tiny dot out of this huge infinite expanse. So what are we going to do with the rest of it? I mean, if I cannot find any kind of connectivity with an animal in this planet.
So
because
how am I going to get connected to the other parts of the universe which are
how
not
can
even
how can I
close?
even get connected to God? I mean, how can I think of myself as getting closer and reaching the power that God inflicts on me? Because God says that.
But in order not to make any misunderstanding about what you said, there are differences even between human beings. In the position of being the creatures, yeah, of course, all of them are creatures. Every single creature has got its own respect. But there are differences. Right now, at the same place, there are differences between you and me.
Of course.
It is, you cannot neglect it, you know.
Right.
So, saying this, what you said, doesn't mean that, okay, all are equal in everything. We are all equal in being creatures. So we need to respect each other. But whoever, for example, can give more, okay, can help more, he will be more important, just not as the position, just be more important to affect the world. I think maybe I'm just trying to work with the words to make my idea more clear. If you can just give it a better idea, better.
Well, I think what you're trying to say is we are all created equal in the sense of our biology, or we are 99.999% equal in the sense of our makeup, our genetic makeup. However, we contribute different amounts. I mean, you take somebody like Hitler. I mean, his contribution to society in that positive way of reaching God was minimal. Correct? I mean, you cannot say he contributed in a positive way so much, right? He didn't.
So we cannot say that, okay, every good person is also equal with, for example, Hitler.
Right, that's what you're trying to say. So we cannot say that somebody who contributed, let's just take an example. For example, say you take an example, Jesus Christ, Moses, the Prophet Muhammad. Take those three people. You cannot equate any of those three people with any other, find a connectivity, right? Unless you go into the genetics and human, eye, nose, and arm. Those are things you can. But in here, you don't find a connection. Right? So, how much of what's in here is the makeup of a person, and how much can we influence each other to make all of us become as equally loving in our perspectives as we are in the way that we walk?
So I think that this is a very good question. Let's have a short break, and the viewers think about it. Maybe they can find the answer within their own minds, and inshallah we are going to be back discovering it. Let's have a short break, and then we'll be back again. Okay, back to the conversation. We will seek the answer of the question that we just faced through the topic and through the speech of Brother Ali. Brother Ali, we're with you to see what is the answer for the question that's just made.
So, going back to where we stopped, I think the importance in this whole structure is that we must relate. We cannot form opinions and create action passages and all on a form of distinction and uniqueness. So if you notice around the world today, more today than before, we are trying to present a unique perspective all the time. How? When you look at fashion, every brand, every store, every place is trying to bring a distinct look. So that they're not all the same. I mean, we could all just wear black t-shirts and black pants, right? Everybody on the planet. But what is the problem with that? Automatically we say, but that's not unique. That's so boring. That's so blah, right? It's everybody's the same. Everybody's wearing a black shirt and a black pants. There's nothing special anymore. Or you see a lot of people, they'll wear a different earring, or they'll do the hair in a different way, or something has to be unique in design about the specific person.
Everyone
this
likes
distinction.
To be
everybody loves to be unique, and
distinguished.
So The problem is, as we do this, we are alienating ourselves from each other. We are continuously moving apart from each other because we are becoming more and more unique in our ways. And things are becoming more and more specialized in specific ways. Now, what is necessary to do is to find more strength in the relatedness of what we have together as a bond in order to be able to reach God. So, today, if I say, well, I live in this part of the world and you live in another part of the world and my background is such and such, your background is such and such, and I bring in the demographics and the race and everything that I can separate from you and the physical borders and all of that, then I find so much separatism from you that I don't relate to you anymore. I even might sit and say, my train of thought I notice is so different than his. Maybe I shouldn't talk to him anymore. That's one way that we are going in today. Whereas the other way is, he's human, I'm human, we are both trying to live in this one planet where everything I do and everything he does affects everything from the climate to the relationship between people to animals to the price of commodities in the world to the economics, to the politics, to diplomacy. Everything is affected by a specific percentage through each of our actions. So if we can connect and act together in a way that best addresses all our love for reaching God, then what we are sending out, we are getting in as a group. And that's what Imam Ali is trying to, in one way, point to. That if you remember, one of the most famous quotes of Imam Ali is basically, you are either my brother in faith or my equal in humanity. So in any case that it may be, the furthest you can be from me is an equal human. That's the furthest you can be from me. There's not any further. Right? In the ideas of Imam Ali, the furthest you can be from me is an equal. Is an equal.
So
remember that.
There is an equality.
There is equality. What is joining us is equality.
Is this equality?
Right? Equality requires respect. You cannot be my equal if I don't respect you. Because if you're equal to me and I don't respect you, it means I don't respect me because you are me. You are equal to me. You are me. So if I don't respect you...
It's just a very simple equation,
Yes. If I don't respect you, I don't respect myself. If I don't respect myself, I cannot be a Muslim. Am I right or wrong? Because one of the principles of Islam is not to hurt yourself.
Totally right.
Which is why we say in Islam, suicide is not acceptable. Why? Because you're hurting yourself. And God says anything that hurts you is illegal for you. It's forbidden, right? So, respect. If I don't respect you, I don't respect myself. If I don't respect myself, I don't want good for myself. So by not respecting you, I am no longer a Muslim. You see how beautifully that works? So now, the furthest we can be from each other is equals. So I must respect. I must not, and I have a problem here. People say, when they talk about certain societies, they say, this society is beautiful because they're tolerant. And I say tolerance is a disaster. Because when I tolerate you, it means
I let you do whatever you want.
Inside, I really don't like you. And I don't appreciate you, and I don't care for you, and I don't respect you. But what I'm doing is I am using my strong patience and my stoic composure and my meditative state to sit there and say, I'm going to let him just do what he's doing. For example, you're smoking and I don't like smoking.
And I will let you smoke.
I'll let you smoke and you'll smoke and you'll smoke and I'll sit there quietly and endure and endure and endure until you leave. And once you've left, I'll be like, thank God he left. Well, how did I get any closer, or how was I able to create that connection with that person in tolerance? You can't.
There's no way.
Eventually, after many, many, many years of tolerating your smoking, I will blow up. Because nobody has the patience
of infinity.
There was only one Zainab who had that kind of patience. Not many people have that. So in this case, you cannot expect me, intolerance, to win you over. Intolerance, I'm not winning you over. But in respect, I can win you over in love, because respect can grow to love. So Imam Ali was, let's just leave him at a worldly human level for a moment.
Yeah.
He was an intelligent person. He was very intelligent.
Yeah, he found the point and he just pointed to it.
When he says, on this side of the equation, the closest you can be to me is a brother, and he says, on the other side of it, the furthest you can be is equal in humanity. It means we are one at the furthest that we can be. And at the closest that we can be, we are part of one. Because brothers are part of the same parents.
Yeah.
So they are parts of one, right? One delivery.
Yeah,
they are parts of one.
It's all clear.
Or they are equals of one. This is the furthest. So the furthest Imam Ali places humanity is almost a millimeter apart from each other.
Yeah, at this point of view, in this kind of ideology,
right.
You unite all the human beings in this world.
Yes. And if you can unite human beings in the world, you shouldn't. A lot of people, when I say this, a lot of people say, but he's Christian, but he's Hindu, but he's an atheist, but he's American, but he's, Australian. And I say, well, none of this should matter. None of this should matter, because the first thing that should matter is what we can all do to have a better tomorrow. First, let's just concentrate on that. I pray, you don't pray, you have a different kind of prayer, my God is different than your God. All of this we can discuss later in life. We don't need to discuss it at the hello. When I invite people over to have a discussion, I can, at the door, when everybody rings the bell and walks in, I could stand at the door and say, wait, you don't have the same ideology as me. You can't come into my house and have this discussion. Well, there's no point in having a discussion, because it will just be me and my ideology. The whole point is, everybody come in, everybody sit down, let's discuss, let's talk, let's see how we can all together reach a benefit for our future. Once we've reached that benefit, if you would like to talk semantics and discuss with me what I think and why this person believes in this spiritual path and that person in the other, we can discuss all of those and actually at the end realize that in fact we are all discussing the same God from different angles, but we refuse because of our ego to accept the same God from different angles. So my God, which as a Muslim you refer to that God as Allah, is a specific God that I call Allah. This specific God that I call Allah is the same God of the Christians, who they refer to as the Lord. And there are, differences in the way we have come to explain this. But the point is, the actual God that they're referring to is the same creator God that I'm talking about.
At least
we can use this as a starting point.
At least what I get from what you said, at least if there is any difference, people can sit, talk,
they can respect the
right, and talk with each other and to find the best thing, because we all want the best thing in a very good and perfect and standard
killing
negotiation.
Is not the solution.
Killing each other is not the solution.
There's no resolution. Yeah. We have been killing each other for religion and for faith for thousands of years. This isn't now. ISIS is not today. Al-Qaeda is not today. This has been happening from the beginning of the time when religious stories and religious prophecies have come into play. We have been going to war for faith-based reasons. It is time at this level of technological progress that we have and the world that we've created and reaching other planets and space, that we should be able to look within our own building. You live in a building and there's, say, 5 floors and there's 3 different religions in that building. There's always tension.
Yeah.
It's time to stop the tension in the building before we decide to go and start a new colony on Mars. Because with the ideas that we have today, when we reach Mars, it's not going to be a beautiful setting.
Yeah,
it's going to be a repeat of here.
The conflict will stop.
Yeah, it will be a repeat from here. What we need to do is take the ideal of love and transport it into space and recreate the community.
We only have 1 or 2 minutes left for this episode. Unfortunately, the time is so black.
It's plenty of time to think about it. Don't worry.
But I think that just to give the main idea, although there are lots of questions that hasn't been answered yet. So just to give the main idea.
I think we hit on it already. I mean, the main idea is the best thing to send out in the world that you would want to get back is love.
Is love, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We already hit that so many times in our discussion. You give love, you get love, and that's all that matters. Everything else is...
And can I just add something else to say that, due to the question that you're just asking before the break, that at least when you just do something great, you will return the result back by the feeling that you feel inside your heart. No matter if for example, I gave a charity, the whole world returned the charity to me, but the feeling that I feel inside me, this is, we can just call it the reward, or what returned to me in return of what I gave to the universe. Okay, I think that time is over, so inshallah we're going to have another discussion for the next episode. Thank you so much for describing this topic, and you're welcome, and thank you so much for being with us. Respected viewers, thank you as well for being with this show, and inshallah don't forget to send us your ideas, your comments, and whatever you think about this show, so we can just inshallah make it better and better and better. Have a great night, and Ya Hussein.